And it's time to wrap this broadcast up with the Alderson's Award West postgame show for trophies, awards, t-shirts, and so much more. Go to aldersons.net for their full catalog. Welcome back to Sid Otten Field here at Tumwater District Stadium. Josh Kaiser alongside Keith Clark, Kerry Clark running the camera for us tonight. And for those of you watching live or on demand, if you're watching this postgame show in the recap on Eli Sports Network, here is what happened. Well, it was Tumwater finding the end zone first with 10:05 remaining in the first quarter. Matheny would get a 1-yard touchdown run. PAT was good to put the T-Birds up 7-0. Camas would respond quickly, though, with a 60-yard connection from Ione to Thorkelson. 60-yard pass. PAT was good, tied things up to 7. Camas was not done yet, though. After a Thorkelson fumble return back deep into Tumwater territory, it would be Jameson with a 1-yard touchdown run to put the Papermakers on top, 14-7, bringing us to the end of our first quarter. And then to start the second quarter, 10:21 on the clock. It would be Ione to Thorkelson again, this time 87 yards out, PAT being good, putting the score up to 21-7. And then it was a 99-yard scoop and score from Criddle with 5:24 before halftime, putting Camas up 28-7, bringing us to our halftime score. And little did we know at the time how big of a play that would truly be. Halftime 28-7, third quarter no scoring, so the score stood strong at that 28-7. In the third quarter, Tumwater offense comes alive with a 30-yard touchdown pass from Overbay to Weller. PAT was good, 28-14, Camas leading. Tumwater not done yet, though. 3:49 on the clock. Matheny would find Pay Dirt again, this time 1 yard out. A bad snap, though, would doom the PAT, putting the score at 28-20. And then Tumwater, 30 seconds left on the game. In the game, Overbay would find Otten 25 yards out. Wanted him on the 2-point conversion, but the pass was a little short and picked. So the try was no good, bringing us to our final tonight. Camas 28-26 over Tumwater, putting the Papermakers record up to 3-4, and Tumwater falls to 4-2.
Yeah, I mean, that recap is quite a recap. What a game. I mean, just two different halves. You know, it comes down to mistakes on Tumwater's end. The second half, I mean, Camas gets a little bit more conservative, but Tumwater looked like the better team for sure in the second half, but just couldn't overcome the mistakes, and then made a few mistakes in the second half, and and cost them the game. So, but like you said, late in the fourth quarter, this is the game I think people were looking for. I mean, being down 3 touchdowns at halftime, I don't think anybody saw that coming, but a 2-point final, I think, is what people were expecting.
And right, and when I said, this is the game that we're expecting, we weren't expecting Tumwater to be dominant there throughout the game like they were in the fourth quarter. Yeah. We were expecting that tightly contested game, high energy. But as you said, the Papermakers possibly getting a little conservative there, comfortable with that lead, and it worked. They did work a lot of clock, and it ended up being a little bit of a difference here at the end as Tumwater started to press a little more. And we saw that with the muff snap on the PAT, and then the pass that floated just a little under on the 2-point try.
Right, exactly. I mean, you put that up a little higher or even a little bit closer to the corner of the end zone, Ryan Otten goes and gets that. So, but you can't get those back. You got to give take your hat off to the Papermakers. They made the plays when they needed to. They made the fewer mistakes, and I say it, I'm a broken record, but you just cannot give a good team those type of opportunities, and the Papermakers absolutely took advantage of them.
No, and absolutely. And we were touching on in our very brief pregame show due to a couple of technical difficulties that Camas coming into this one 2-4 was a very, very deceiving mark. Camas is a good football team, and so is Tumwater. And we saw two Titans essentially collide tonight, and it was Camas that had just enough of an edge thanks to those turnovers and mistakes from Tumwater, especially that 99-yard fumble return. Deep in the second quarter, and deep, obviously, into Camas territory. They were on the doorstep.
Yeah, to score, and they had just gotten off. Camas had let them off the hook, too, with a pass interference in the end zone, and then the next play goes around for a touchdown for 99 yards the other way. So not technically on the scoreboard, but it's basically like a 14-point swing, and just too much for Tumwater to overcome in the second half. And I definitely take my hat off to Tumwater, too, the second half, just not giving up and just staying with it. And it was a different attitude on offense. They cut down on the mistakes, and, I mean, they were just moving the ball in chunks against that Papermakers defense and able to execute less penalties in the second half and almost came back to win this thing.
And we touched on it a little bit, too, and how little it feels like we saw the Camas offense in the first half. And late here in this game, we started to see a lot of hands on hips for that Camas defense. They were starting to get tired, and Tumwater was taking advantage of it because of the way, unofficially, what that time of possession was. I know that needle was so far in Tumwater's favor tonight.
Right, absolutely.
And then, touching on that pass interference you were talking about, what a redemption arc there for Nathan Criddle. He was the one that got tagged for the pass interference, and then he's the one in a perfect position to do the probably the play of the game, the 99-yard fumble return.
Yep.
Without any further ado, let's take a look at our players of the game, unless you got any more thoughts.
No.
All right, so we'll do the visiting team first. Our visiting team MVP is brought to you by Pacific Sports Spa in Chehalis. Pacific Sports Spa can get you back in the game in a hurry and is a leader in rapid recovery and get you game ready at Pacific Sports Spa. So for the Camas Papermakers, we talked about it a little off air, but man, there was one guy that really stood out to us tonight.
Yeah, for me, number 7, Mark Thorkelson, the 6'1", 195-pound senior wide receiver DB, just made plays all night, and he was definitely the difference maker and the MVP for me.
No, I absolutely agree. Unofficially, 147 yards receiving there in the first half, 2 touchdowns. He had the interception it was a fumble recovery to set up a touchdown. And then, he was just a Swiss Army tonight. He was all over the field on defense, too.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Mark Thorkelson, our Pacific Sports Spa player of the game. And on the home side of things, our home MVP is brought to you by Thorbeck's Wellness Center in Chehalis, Centralia, and South Bend. Strong today, stronger tomorrow, strongest together at Thorbeck's. And Tumwater, a couple guys really popped out, but I think in the end we kind of nestled on one guy.
Yeah, he didn't even play in the first half, but Alex Overbay came in, and took over the quarterback position in the second half and throws 2 touchdown passes and brings the Tumwater back within 2 points of tying up his game. So you really got to hand it to him, and he gets my MVP, home MVP of the day.
I like it. Absolutely a spark plug here and a team that was looking for answers on offense. Third quarter took them a little bit to get going. In the fourth quarter, they were starting to hit their stride through the air, on the ground. Made this a very, very exciting game when it could have slipped away from them very badly.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that puts a wrap on this one. Again, our final score tonight, Camas 28, Tumwater 26. We'll see you next time right here on the Eli and NFHS Sports Networks. Have a good night.
We're out.